The sea stretched quietly against the horizon, silver light glinting across its surface as morning fog rolled in from the deep. The naval base stirred awake beneath that haze. Boots struck the pavement, orders echoed faintly, and the air smelled of salt, oil, and discipline. It was inspection day, the kind of morning that tested every crease, every shine, every ounce of pride a sailor carried. Yet somewhere between the hum of engines and the call of gulls, arrogance was about to meet humility in its rawest form. Private Mason leaned against a cafeteria counter, his grin sharp as the edge of a blade. He was built like a wall, muscles straining against his uniform, and his voice carried farther than anyone wanted to hear. He liked being the loudest, the toughest, the one people moved aside for. To him, respect was a trophy taken, not earned. His laughter boomed across the room, a sound that made the younger recruits tighten their grips on their trays. Steam rose from cups of milk, mingling with the scent of boiled eggs. The chatter was low, cautious. Nobody wanted to draw attention. Not today. Not with the base expecting its new admiral. But Mason didn't care. Rules meant nothing if he wasn't the one setting them. His eyes swept the room, then stopped. A woman sat alone near the far end, dressed in a simple Navy uniform with no visible rank. Her hair was neatly tied back, her face calm, unreadable. She looked like she'd just arrived, a traveler between storms. Mason's grin widened. "Fresh meat," he muttered. His friend glanced at him nervously. "Don't," he warned under his breath. "They said the new admiral's coming today. You don't want to screw around." Mason waved him off, arrogance dripping from every word. "Relax, she's just some recruit. Probably scared already." The woman poured herself a cup of milk, her movements steady and unhurried. She didn't glance around, didn't seek approval or attention. It was that calmness, that quiet, that got under Mason's skin. He thrived on reaction, on being noticed. Her silence was an insult he couldn't ignore. Without a word, he grabbed a cup of steaming milk, walked up behind her, and with a smirk that belonged to a bully, tipped the contents down her back. The liquid burned through fabric and skin in an instant. A gasp rippled through the cafeteria like a gunshot. The woman froze, her body rigid. Pain lanced through her spine, but she didn't make a sound. Not a single word. She just closed her eyes, breathed deeply, and stood taller. Mason laughed, spreading his arms like a victorious performer. "That's how we welcome the new ones," he shouted. But the applause he expected never came. The room was still. The silence was heavy. Then the cafeteria doors burst open. Officers stepped inside, followed by the base commander, his voice booming, "All personnel, prepare to greet the new admiral." Time stopped. Mason's breath caught. Boots clicked sharply on the tile behind him. The woman he had just burned stepped forward, every movement precise. She saluted. "Rear Admiral Elena Rivers reporting for duty, sir." The words fell like thunder. Mason's heart collapsed. The laughter died in his throat. Whispers tore through the crowd like electricity. "That's her." The new admiral, Admiral Rivers, turned slowly. Her eyes, calm and cold, locked onto him. "Private Mason," she said softly. Her tone wasn't loud, but it carried power enough to silence the sea itself. He swallowed hard. "Yes, Admiral. Follow me." The hallway stretched endlessly. Each step echoed against the walls. Mason's stomach churned as guilt replaced bravado. In her office, she removed her jacket, revealing burns blistered across her back and shoulders. Mason's gaze dropped to the floor. "Do you know," she began quietly, "why this uniform carries no visible rank?" He shook his head. "Because true leaders walk among their people unseen," she said, "to watch their hearts, to see who they are when they believe no one is watching." Her voice wavered slightly with pain, but her spine remained straight. "You saw someone new, someone quiet, and you chose cruelty. Tell me, Private, is this what the Navy teaches you?" Tears filled Mason's eyes. "No, Admiral." I'm sorry. Sorry is only the first step," she said. "But learning begins when you face the pain you've caused." She turned toward the window, the morning light outlining her figure like fire. "When I was your age, I was mocked for being small, for being quiet. But I did not let cruelty define me. I let kindness guide me," her words carved into his heart. "You will report to the medical ward," she ordered. "Not for treatment, for service. You will clean floors, carry equipment, and tend to the wounded. You will see what it means to serve those who bleed for your arrogance. For 6 months," he nodded, his voice breaking. "Yes, Admiral, the punishment wasn't harsh. It was human. Days turned into weeks. Mason scrubbed blood from tiles, delivered medicine to groaning soldiers, and held the hands of men and women scarred by battle. He saw the cost of pride written across their faces. Every tear, every bandage, every whispered prayer chipped away at the arrogance he once wore like armor. Sometimes, from a distance, he saw Admiral Rivers walking the halls. Her back was still healing, the scars hidden beneath her uniform. Yet she never complained, never demanded recognition. Her strength wasn't shouted, it was quiet, steady, unshakable. One afternoon, Mason stood beside a young soldier trembling after surgery. He held the soldier's hand and said softly, "You're not alone. You'll make it." From the doorway, Admiral Rivers watched. A faint smile touched her lips. This was why she led through compassion, not humiliation. Months later, inspection day returned. The air was clear, the sun sharp on the water. Mason stood at attention, his uniform spotless, posture perfect. When Admiral Rivers stopped before him, their eyes met. "You've changed," she said. "Yes, Admiral," he replied. "Because of you," she nodded once. "Remember this lesson always. Strength without empathy is weakness. Respect without humility is hollow." The ceremony ended, but the feeling stayed. That quiet reminder that transformation begins where pride ends. Years passed. Mason rose through the ranks. He never forgot the sting of hot milk or the silence that followed it. It wasn't the pain that stayed with him. It was her grace. When Admiral Rivers finally retired, the base lined up to salute her. The rain tapped gently against the windows as she walked past each sailor. Her presence still commanding yet gentle. When she reached Mason, now an officer himself, he whispered, "Thank you for teaching me what it means to be human." Her smile was soft, her voice barely a whisper. "The greatest leaders are not the strongest, Mason. They are the kindest." She saluted him, and the sound of that gesture echoed like thunder through the halls. As she walked away, Mason stood taller than ever, not because of pride, but because of gratitude. He became the kind of leader who listened, who helped, who walked among his people unseen, just as she once did. Because true power isn't loud. It doesn't demand, it doesn't boast. It stands in silence, steady and kind, leaving behind not fear, but respect. Like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, you never know who stands before you. So treat every soul with dignity, because the measure of a true soldier isn't found in strength, it's found in heart.